Hey, this is Millennial, and Mr. Repzion was nice enough to let me post a guest video to his channel while he's away, so a big thank you to him for this amazing opportunity. I'm really lucky to be here talking with you guys, and if you would like to check out my channel, the link will be in the description. Now, today I'd like to talk about male sexuality, as scandalous as that sounds, because something that I've noticed more and more lately is the way that it's being demonized by modern-day feminism. And I'm gonna explain what I mean by that, but before we begin, I would kind of like to point out how almost funny it is that third-wave feminism has regressed so much that we actually need to remind feminists that sexuality is a healthy, normal part of life. Topsy-turvy world we're living in. But anyway, probably the easiest way of highlighting how male sexuality is being demonized by modern feminism is the glaring double standard that exists in the media when it comes to appealing to male versus female viewers. Take movies, for instance. Film series like Magic Mike and the awful Twilight Saga were chock full of handsome men with rippling abs and were hugely successful with female audiences. And I'd say it's pretty obvious that the interest in the films wasn't because of the plots, because, well, there were no plots. Now, these films all received a lot of attention in the media focusing on the hunky male actors, but no one seemed concerned that they were being objectified or exploited, even though their roles were pretty much just having muscles. I mean, everyone knew what was attracting women to see these movies, but it didn't seem like anyone had a problem with it. And it's the same story with almost any film, series, or ad that plays off of female sexuality. Women are almost always free to gawk at men because, hey, it's no big deal, right? Just a bit of fun. We can objectify men all we want. And with 50 Shades of Grey, we even saw that something which is pretty much straight up pornography can become mainstream as long as it caters to the safer, less threatening female sexuality. I mean, to be fair, 50 Shades of Grey did receive criticism, but it wasn't for the objectification of the male actor. It was for the other stuff. Now let's compare that to how appeals to male sexuality are received. On the one hand, obviously there are tons of examples of half-naked women all over the media that are meant to play to male viewers. But on the other hand, it seems like you can't even show a woman in her bra and panties anymore without being accused of sexism. In fact, pretty much any film with a female in a sexualized role now draws criticisms of objectification from feminists. I mean, how dare you men find women's bodies attractive? That's disgusting! And actually, in feminism, there's even a special term for when art depicts women from a masculine perspective called male gaze. As you can probably guess, the term is closely linked to sexism, which to me is confusing because I honestly don't think that the male sexual appetite is any more sexist toward women than the female appetite is toward men. If women are allowed to fantasize about men who have chosen to show off their bodies, why is it so controversial for men to do the exact same thing to women who have made the choice to present themselves in a sexualized way? But, moving along, unfortunately this bias against male sexuality has also come to apply to real-world behavior as well. And I'm talking about the increasingly common belief among feminists that all men are creepy, and that they may also want to rape you. Now, this is a bold statement to make on behalf of modern-day feminism, but sadly, it's true. Looking through feminist publications, it seems like the number of acceptable ways there are for men to find a romantic partner are becoming fewer and fewer. I'm sorry, guys, but it turns out you're just not allowed to talk to women anymore. For instance, it's no longer okay to tell a girl she's pretty and ask if she'd like to go out for coffee. Nope, letting a woman know you're interested in her is actually way too aggressive and kind of sexist. Instead, there are now entire codes of conduct outlining the tolerable ways men can communicate with women, with the presumption that if left to their own devices, they would just be flat-out predatory. Compliments are no longer acceptable, flirting now requires a strict set of rules, and in fact, merely even trying to engage with a woman is now seen as an infringement of her safety in a lot of feminist circles. And what's perhaps most worrying is the ongoing effort to equate rape with male sexuality. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when reading through feminist publications, I get the impression that the current focus on consent, which I do think is an important principle, seems to be coming from the assumption that male sexuality is inherently aggressive, or that men might be likely to rape you unless they're explicitly told not to. I'm not a man, so I can't say for sure, but I'm assuming it would actually be really offensive to be treated like a would-be rapist without having done anything. You know, just my opinion. And the reason why all this matters so much is that these negative attitudes toward male sexuality are actually having serious consequences in a lot of people's lives. There are actually men out there who have sworn off women entirely because they don't want the drama of being accused of being a predator, or because they don't feel like it's okay for them to approach someone they're interested in anymore. And while I do think that's an overreaction, because thankfully this feminist attitude does not represent how all or even most women think and feel, it is understandable. I mean, if anytime a man sees something he likes in a movie or on TV, it's criticized as sexist, that's going to affect him. If anytime he expresses interest in a woman he's labeled as creepy, that's going to affect him. If any conversation about consent comes with the assumption that he's a sexual predator, guess what? it's going to affect him. And these effects spill over to women as well. We have women who really don't understand why men don't seem to approach them anymore. And this is too bad, because the stereotype of the pervy, violent guy that just sees women as objects for his pleasure may be true for a small part of the male population, but overall I really don't think that male sexuality is any more harmful than female sexuality. So feminists, you may not realize what you're doing, but the way you're treating men right now is very close to the oppression that you complain about happens to women. Shaming someone's sexuality isn't okay when it's against a woman or a member of the LGBT community, but it's not okay against straight men either. Anyway, that's all I have to say for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and another big thank you to Mr. Repzion for the chance to be here, and I'll see you guys next time.